In June 2025, the Philippines Transportation Secretary sat in front of the Commission on Appointments and said something remarkable. He said the government's plan to modernize the jeepney is not viable in its present state. The people who bought new vehicles can't pay their loans. The banks have stopped lending. Less than 20% of the country's routes have been rationalized. Only 40% of drivers have consolidated into cooperatives. And the program is pushing forward anyway. This is the story of the jeepney, how it was born from the wreckage of World War II, how it became the most recognizable vehicle in the Philippines, how it created a livelihood system that feeds hundreds of thousands of families, and how the government is trying to replace it with something most drivers can't afford. Let's get into it. To understand what's happening now, you have to go back to 1945. World War II had just ended. Manila was destroyed. The transportation infrastructure was gone. Tramways, rail lines, buses, all of it wiped out during the Battle of Manila. And when the American military started pulling out, they left behind hundreds of surplus Jeeps, Willys, Ford GPWs, military vehicles built for war that nobody needed anymore. Now, in most countries, those Jeeps would have been scrapped or shipped somewhere else, but not in the Philippines. Filipinos looked at them and saw something completely different. They saw transportation. They stripped the Jeeps down, added metal roofs for shade and rain, extended the chassis to fit more passengers, welded bench seats inside so people could sit facing each other, and then they did something that nobody asked them to do. They painted them. Bright colors, chrome ornaments, religious icons, family portraits, basketball players, movie stars. Every jeepney became a canvas. No two looked the same. This was a country that had just been devastated by war, and the response was to take abandoned military equipment and turn it into rolling works of art. If that doesn't tell you something about the Filipino character, I don't know what does. By the early 1950s, a former Calisa driver named Leonardo Sarao started building jeepneys by hand in Las Piñas. A Calisa is a horse-drawn carriage. That's what Leonardo did for a living before this. He pulled together 700 pesos, got help from his brothers, and started Sarao Motors, a backyard operation. Within a decade, it was one of the biggest manufacturers in the country. At its peak, Sarao employed up to 400 workers, turning out hundreds of jeepneys. The ratio of Sarao jeepneys on Manila streets outnumbered other brands 7-1. In 1964, a Sarao jeepney was exhibited at the New York World's Fair as the national symbol of the Philippines. In 1974, Sarao jeepneys were used in the Miss Universe motorcade in Manila. In 1981, Pope John Paul II rode a specialty-built Sarao during his visit to the country, the Pope in a jeepney. This vehicle went from abandoned war surplus to global cultural icon in about 20 years. A machine of war became the people's ride, and it stayed that way for the next 7 decades. Now, before we get into what's happening with modernization, you need to understand how the jeep business actually operates, because this is the part that most people miss. The jeepney sector is one of the most fragmented industries in the Philippines. About 80% of operators own just one jeepney, one vehicle. And as with tricycles, in most cases, the operator doesn't drive the jeepney themselves. They rent it out to a driver for a daily fee. The fee is called the boundary. So here's how it works. Every morning, the driver pays the operator somewhere between 800 and 1,100 pesos. That's the boundary. Then the driver goes out and picks up passengers all day. He also pays for the fuel out of his own pocket, and then whatever is left after the boundary and fuel costs is his income for the day. There's no contract, there's no benefits, there's no sick days, no pension, just whatever you can earn above the line. For most drivers, that works out to somewhere around 500 to 800 pesos a day. On a bad day, less than that. On a rainy day when passengers don't come out, maybe nothing. But the boundary still has to be paid. The operator gets his money regardless. The driver absorbs all the risk. And because drivers need to hit that boundary before they start earning for themselves, the system creates some predictable behavior. Drivers race for passengers. They stop anywhere. They squeeze in as many bodies as they can. They drive crazy long hours. Some of them skip maintenance because every extra passenger is the difference between feeding your family tonight or not. The boundary system has been linked to 20 to 30% of road accidents involving public utility vehicles. Does that mean the driver's being reckless? Kind of, but it's also the system being designed in a way that rewards reckless behavior. So when the government says modernization will make things safer and better, I understand the argument, but you also have to understand what's being asked of the people inside the system. In 2017, the Department of Transportation launched the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. The idea on paper sounds reasonable. Replace jeepneys that are more than 15 years old with newer, cleaner vehicles. Euro 4 compliant engines or electric. Air conditioning, GPS tracking, CCTV cameras, automated fare collection, dash cams. So they're going to be safer, more efficient, better for the environment. The program also requires all individual operators to give up their franchises and consolidate into cooperatives or corporations. No more one man, one jeepney. Under the new system, drivers become employees. They get a fixed salary, includes government benefits like SSS, PhilHealth, PAG-EBIG. On paper, that sounds like a massive upgrade, and in some ways, it is. But here's where the math also falls apart. A traditional jeepney costs between 200,000 and 400,000 pesos. A modern jeepney costs around 2.8 million. That's roughly 7 to 14 times more expensive. Now, the government subsidizes about 15% of the cost. The rest has to come from loans. The government set up loan programs through the Development Bank of the Philippines and the Land Bank. 6% interest, 5 to 7 year repayment. But here's what that actually looks like for a driver. After the subsidy, a driver or cooperative is looking at roughly 2.3 million pesos in debt. Divided over 5 years, it's about 40,000 pesos a month in loan payments. A jeepney operator grosses maybe 2,500 to 3,000 pesos a day. After fuel, maintenance, and driver payments, the margin is pretty thin. So the Federation of Jeepney Operators reported that cooperatives with 15 modern jeepneys are paying 475,000 pesos per month on loan repayments. Some are breaking even, some are losing money every day. And by mid-2025, the banks stopped lending because the people who already borrowed can't pay it back. Now listen, that's not me saying that the program failed. That's the Transportation Secretary himself saying as much. And yet, the program continues. So think about what this means for someone who's been driving a jeepney for 15 years, maybe 20 years. He might have inherited the route from his father. His jeepney is old, but it runs. He knows every stop. He knows his regulars. He knows how to make it work. And now he's being told that his jeepney is illegal. His individual franchise is no longer valid. And he has to join a cooperative he didn't necessarily want to join. He has to take on a loan he can't afford, or he stops driving. One driver told Al Jazeera he brings home the equivalent of about $3.60 a day after expenses, and the modernization program is asking him to take on millions of pesos in debt. He said it would bury him. So under the boundary system, a jeepney driver isn't rich, but he's his own boss. He decides when to start, he decides when to stop, he decides which route to take that day. But under a cooperative, he becomes an employee. He gets benefits, which is in fact a benefit, but he also gets told when to drive, where to drive, how much he earns. And for a lot of drivers, especially older ones who've been doing this their whole lives, that trade feels less like modernization and more like losing everything that they've been doing their whole life. Many jeepney drivers are in their late 30s to late 50s. These aren't young guys who could pivot to something else. I want to be honest about something because there are real arguments for modernization. The old jeepneys pollute. I mean, it's crazy to drive behind them a lot of the time. They contribute to some of the worst traffic congestion in the world. A JICA study estimated that Manila loses 3.5 billion pesos per day from traffic congestion, and the boundary system has no protections for drivers. It means no benefits, no retirement, no safety net. If a driver gets sick, he earns nothing. If he gets hurt, nobody covers him. If he gets old, Too bad, there's no pension. The modernization program is supposed to fix that. And for the cooperatives that are working, it is fixing it. One driver in Bacolod said he now makes at least 12,000 to 14,800 pesos a month with SSS, PhilHealth, and vacation leave. He said the air-conditioned modern jeepney lets him drive all week without the exhaustion of sitting in an open vehicle all day in the heat. That's also real, and that also matters. But the scale of who it's working for versus who it's not working for is the struggle. A University of the Philippines study warned that the program's provisions create a window for corporate takeover of small-scale public transportation. By forcing drivers to give up individual franchises, by making loans inaccessible to ordinary operators, the program could push out the people who built the system and replace them with corporations that could afford the investment. 22 senators signed a resolution calling for the program to be suspended. The Commission on Human Rights said modernization shouldn't come at the cost of fundamental livelihoods. And transport groups like Piston and Manivela have launched multiple strikes. 100,000 drivers off the road at once. Schools shutting down, businesses going remote, the entire country feeling what happens when you try to replace a system that millions of people depend on. So here's what I think about this. The jeepney is not just a vehicle, it's a system. Just like the sachet economy we talked about in the channel before is a system. These things didn't happen by accident. They evolved over decades to match the economic realities of the Philippines. Daily wages, daily spending, daily survival. The jeepney matches a country where 80% of operators own one vehicle, where a driver can start working with almost no capital, where transportation reaches every barangay because the system is so distributed that it goes everywhere. It's not really possible to just rip that out and replace it with a 2.8 million peso vehicle that nobody can afford. Not without a real transition. Not without subsidies that actually cover the cost. Not without routes that have been planned. Not without cooperatives that have been trained and supported. And right now, not much of that is in place. The routes aren't rationalized. The loans aren't working. The banks have pulled back. And the drivers are drowning. It's certainly not me saying that modernization is wrong. I'm saying that the execution needs a bit of work. It's hurting the very people that it's trying to help. And when a country takes a symbol of its own ingenuity, a vehicle that was literally built from the wreckage of war, painted with the colors of its culture and used to move millions of people every single day for 80 years, and then replaces it with a system that the own transport secretary admits doesn't quite work, that shouldn't bother people. Not just here. And replaces it with a system that has so many struggles for the people trying to operate it, that should bother people. Not just here, but everywhere. The jeepney was born because Filipinos looked at what was broken and built something new. Maybe the answer to modernization is the same instinct. Not a program that leaves too much debt for drivers, but something that actually comes from the people who ride these things every day. As always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Take care.